All right, y'all, we got another banger vid for y'all today. This one is 14 countries that don't exist anymore. This is all around the world, many countries. So I hope y'all like it. Get into it.
Today, all around the world, we have a lot of countries, but how many countries have been formed and collapsed in the last few hundred or thousands of years? Well, today we're going to look into it. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy. Did you know that some US states were actually once independent countries? Believe it or not, Texas was actually
Texas, California, Hawaii.
an independent country known as the Republic of Texas before it became a state in the United States. The Republic of Texas existed from March 2nd, 1836, when it declared independence from Mexico, until it joined the
It
United States.
lasted that long? It lasted like 10 years. I didn't even know they lasted that long. I thought it was like a year after they became independent, they went into to become the United States.
On December 29th, 1845. The famous Battle of the Alamo in February and March 1836 was a pivotal event in the Texas Revolution. Though the Texan defenders were ultimately defeated, their resistance inspired other Texans to continue the fight for independence. Although Texas had declared independence, it took some time for other nations to officially recognize the Republic of Texas. Texas gained recognition from several countries, including the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. On December 29th, 1845, Texas joined the United States and became the 28th state in the Union at the time. This move contributed to the outbreak of the Mexican-American War. The war ended on February 2nd, 1848, with the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. This treaty was negotiated between the United States and Mexico and ended the hostilities between the two countries. Another U.S. state that was once a country was Hawaii. Hawaii was once an independent country. Prior to becoming a U.S. territory and later a state, Hawaii existed as the Kingdom of Hawaii. The Kingdom of Hawaii was established in 1810 when King Kamehameha I unified the Hawaiian Islands into a single kingdom. Over the next century, Hawaii
Sorry guys, I was texting someone.
developed as an independent nation with its own monarchy, culture, and governance. In the 19th century, Hawaii became a center for the global sugar industry, attracting settlers and immigrants.
Yeah, so sugar settlers came to Hawaii. Can't talk. Sugar settlers came to Hawaii, white people, like the whites, came to Hawaii. And basically, they overthrew the monarchy, and the United States annexed it. Like the white sugar farmers basically took control of the government, or like got influence in it, and then they got the U.S. to come and annex it. They did that. And
including
that's why
Europeans
Hawaii's a
and
state.
Americans. In 1893, a group of American businessmen and politicians, with the support of U.S. Marines, orchestrated the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy, leading to the abdication of Queen Liliuokalani. Following the overthrow, Hawaii was briefly declared a republic. In 1898, Hawaii was annexed by the United States and became a U.S. territory. It remained a territory until 1959, when it was admitted as the 50th state of the United States. Now let's look at the biggest former country out of all of them, and that would be the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was originally made up of the following countries: Russia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and finally Tajikistan. So yeah, just
to think that a country could be that big and not like collapse, because that's how the Mongolians were. Mongolian Empire was the biggest country ever in history. The biggest country. It literally ran from like literally Japan, like the Japan's like North Korea basically. It ran all the way to England, like there. That's how far that empire went, and that's insane. But that empire eventually fell because it was so big. But to think that Russia has been around since basically the 9th century, and has taken over the land in about the 1400s. The right side has been taken over by them since I think the 14th or 15th century. Ivan the Terrible took this over, and they did whatever, and they had Alaska. But just to think that was like, that didn't collapse, and it stayed like that for many, many centuries. It's crazy.
few countries.
They're able to maintain such a huge country like that. Like, y'all gotta, that's pretty cool. Y'all, just want to give a quick little message in between this video. I just wanted to tell y'all, don't forget to join our Discord server. Suggest that these React members. We are almost at 100 members. I don't really get so many members in the Discord server too much no more. So go join up, guys, if you want to. You can also suggest in the comments. Don't forget to sub, as per usual. Don't forget to sub. But yeah, yeah. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of it. Peace out.
These 15 countries made of the Soviet Union, officially known as the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics, or the USSR for short. It was a transcontinental country that spread across much of Eurasia from 1922 to 1991. The Soviet Union truly was a giant. It was ranked as the third most populous in the world,
And Russia's
with
still
over
the biggest
248
country in the world
million
today.
people, according to the 1990 census. So how did it start and end? Well, it started in 1917 when the Bolshevik Party, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in the Russian October Revolution, toppling the provincial government. In 1922, the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic was established, and it later became the founding father of the Soviet Union. The countries that joined the Soviet Union and their reasons for doing so varied, as some joined willingly, while others didn't really have a choice. Countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan were integrated into the Soviet Union through a combination of military conquest and diplomatic agreements. The Soviet government sought to extend its control into Central Asia to secure valuable resources, maintain strategic control, and spread communist ideology. Ukraine, Belarus, and Transcaucasian republics made up of Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia were part of the former Russian Empire and had significant Bolshevik and communist movements. Many saw the Soviet government as a way to achieve social and political change in the wake of World War I and the Russian Revolution. The Baltic states, made up of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, are incorporated into the USSR in 1940, following the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. The takeover of the Baltic states was met with resistance, and it was not until the end of World War II that the Soviet Union fully consolidated control. So why did this extremely powerful country that was a vital part of the victory over the Germans in World War II fall apart so quickly? To understand why,
Well, I'm gonna just say it in the way that I know, and he'll say it. There was at least 2 to 3 reasons why the Soviet Union collapsed. One, their currency was debunked. Their currency was worthless. They had a ton of debt. 2, there was resistances in basically every country that they took over. Hungary, Ukraine, Latvia, and all those guys. Those are basically 2 reasons. And then the pressure from the West, and Gorbachev was kind of more of a West-leaning leader. That kind of thing. Yeah. Those were kind of like the 3 reasons why the Soviet Union kind of failed. And Chernobyl. Chernobyl exposed a lot of things inside their government.
Union ended, we need to go back to the late 1980s and the early 1990s. First and foremost, the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev played a pivotal role. Gorbachev implemented a series of reforms known as Glasnost and Perestroika, which meant openness and restructuring. These reforms aimed to modernize the Soviet economy and political system, but inadvertently led to increased political openness and demands for greater autonomy among the Soviet republics. As the Soviet people gained more freedom of expression,
They wanted independence.
it unleashed built-up frustrations. Protests, demonstrations, and strikes became common, pushing for social change and independence in some republics.
Also, the Soviet economy was lacking behind. It was kind of an old economy, and they weren't really keeping up to the new stuff, you know?
Another critical factor was the dire state of the Soviet economy. The Soviet economy had endured massive military spending, which resulted in shortages of resources. Long lines at stores were a daily reality for many citizens. The Soviet Union suffered many famines during the years it was active, resulting in millions of deaths. Lev Mischenko, a man who was born the year of the Russian Revolution, said tens of millions of lives were destroyed under the Soviet Union. I saw how people lived. Children were starving and their parents still had to give milk and eggs to the state. The entire USSR was divided into different areas of food security.
Yeah.
Places like Moscow used to get first pick of everything. On the bottom, there was Category 4, the provinces that could not expect any provisioning from the Kremlin. They had to produce all the food needed inside their own territory. Soviet republics like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Ukraine began to assert their desire for independence. The Baltic states were among the first to break away, leading the charge for others to follow suit. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the end of the Cold War and the disintegration of the Eastern Bloc. One by one, communist governments in Eastern Europe collapsed, creating a domino effect that shook the foundations of the Soviet Union. In August 1991, a group of hardline communist officials attempted a coup against Gorbachev's government. Although the coup failed, it weakened central authority and accelerated the disintegration of the USSR. Finally, on December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved. The red flag with the hammer and sickle was lowered from the Kremlin, marking the end of a superpower. And there you have it, the collapse of the
They're
Soviet
still a superpower today, actually. That sounded like such an actually thing. I'm sorry. I sound like a nerd.
Union. Another former country that was next door to the Soviet Union was Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was made up of Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia.
It was all the... No, not Baltic. Shoot. I'm forgetting things now.
Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Macedonia. Yugoslavia, a country that rose from the ashes of World War I only to crumble amidst ethnic tensions and political upheaval in the 1990s. In the aftermath of World War I, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia was created, bringing together several South Slavic ethnic groups, including Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, into a single nation. After the war, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia was officially created in 1929 under the rule of King Alexander I. It aimed to forge a national identity, but the various ethnic groups retained their...
And then probably after World War II, it became communist, and then it ended up failing in the 90s. Like
distinct cultures and languages. Yugoslavia faced numerous challenges in the years that followed, including economic struggles and political tension. One of the biggest reasons for this was because during World War II, Nazi Germany occupied Yugoslavia. This led to the rise of a communist resistance led by...
Oh yeah, because Italy was in Albania and Greece. Yeah, I remember.
Josip Broz Tito. Under Tito's leadership, he fought Nazi occupation by organizing the Yugoslav Partisans, a diverse group of fighters from various backgrounds united by their determination to liberate their homeland. Tito's partisans adopted guerrilla warfare tactics, using ambushes, sabotage, and hit-and-run attacks to harass the occupying Axis forces. They operated in the challenging terrain of Yugoslavia, which favored their strategy. Over time, the partisans liberated significant portions of Yugoslavia through fierce battles against Axis forces, leading to the liberation of Belgrade, the Yugoslav capital, in 1944. Josip Broz Tito's unwavering commitment to fighting against Nazi occupation and his leadership of the Yugoslav partisans played a pivotal role in the liberation of Yugoslavia and the creation of a new nation. Tito's legacy as a wartime leader remains an integral part of Yugoslav history. Josip Broz Tito was also the man who famously said no to Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union. Stalin wanted Yugoslavia to become a satellite state under Soviet influence, much like other Eastern European countries were at the time. However, Tito resisted Stalin's attempts to assert control over Yugoslavia's domestic and foreign policies. This resulted in the famous 1948 split between Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union, known as the Tito-Stalin split. Tito's refusal to bow to Soviet pressure and his determination to maintain Yugoslav independence led to a period of tension between Yugoslavia and...
They ended up becoming communists, though. And I think they were just under the Soviet Union eventually. And I think maybe they got a new leader, but he'll tell us what happened.
Tito ruled Yugoslavia from 1945 all the way to his death in 1980. By the 1980s, Yugoslavia faced a severe economic crisis. Foreign debt had skyrocketed, inflation was rampant, and the country's currency was devalued. This crisis was exacerbated by political tensions among the various republics within Yugoslavia. The economic struggles played...
The ethnic groups inside Yugoslavia, there was Muslims there was Christians, there's everyone there. So there's also ethnic tensions for there there too. There's political tensions. There's everything.
Played a significant role in the dissolution of Yugoslavia in the 1990s. As the country disintegrated, so did its economic ties, leading to hyperinflation, unemployment, and economic collapse in some regions. Yugoslavia's economic struggles were a key factor in its turbulent history. Despite initial efforts to create a unique socialist economic system, the nation faced persistent challenges, which ultimately contributed to its breakup in the 1990s. On June 25, 1991, Slovenia and Croatia declared independence from Yugoslavia. This marked the beginning of the breakup as both republics sought to establish themselves as sovereign nations. This was the start of the Yugoslavia breakup. On July 7, 1991, the 10-day war, a brief armed conflict between Slovenia and the Yugoslav People's Army, began and ended with a ceasefire on July 17, 1991. This conflict further solidified Slovenia's path toward independence. October 8, 1991, Croatia declared full independence from Yugoslavia, leading to a more extended and more violent conflict known as the Croatian War of Independence. 1 year later, in 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina declared independence from Yugoslavia. This declaration triggered the Bosnian War, which lasted...
This war was horrible. There was horrible war crimes that happened in this war, and it wasn't. This is actually a really bad war. Yeah, I don't know. So, this wasn't a great war. This wasn't a great war, but at least it's all sorted out now. Well, not really. Kosovo's still trying to separate from Serbia.
Until 1995. During the Yugoslav wars, it is estimated over 100,000 people were killed and over 2 million people were forced to flee their homes. In 1992, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia emerged as the successor state, consisting of only Serbia and Montenegro. However, by then, Yugoslavia had effectively disintegrated, and Yugoslavia was no more. Serbia and Montenegro, the two remaining republics of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, officially broke up on June 3, 2006. This event marked the final dissolution of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and led to the formation of two separate independent states, the Republic of Serbia and the Republic of Montenegro. Neighboring Yugoslavia in Europe was another country that used to exist, which was Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia was established in 1918 in the aftermath of World War I as a union of...
Why would you? I don't get why that ever happened. Because they ended up just splitting at the end of the century anyways. Why would you just combine the Czech Republic and Slovakia? I don't really get why they did that. I don't get why.
Two ethnic groups, the Czechs and the Slovaks. This new nation was born with the hope of creating a democratic and prosperous state in Central Europe. Czechoslovakia thrived as a democratic republic. However, World War II brought significant changes to the region. In 1938, the Munich Agreement allowed Nazi Germany to annex Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland, weakening the country's defenses. Then, in 1939...
Yeah, this was so funny, though. Because if y'all ever watched Oversimplified, go watch that guy. Oversimplified has some great videos on explaining how wars went. He has some great videos, and they're really funny too. But no, so what happened in this is basically Nazi wanted that land, like he said, he wanted that certain land of the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia. So the British didn't want them to do that. Like the British were like basically babying the Nazis, and the British weren't really doing anything. So like, well, you can have that, but you can't invade the rest. So they do a treaty. The guy comes back. He starts celebrating. Oh, they're not going to invade it. I just prevented a war. He invades the rest of the country. He invades basically the Czech Republic part. Now, that's the part that's the Czech Republic. Now, they invade pretty much the rest of it. It's because the Nazis are so unpredictable.
Slovakia declared independence with support from Nazi Germany. After World War II, Czechoslovakia experienced a brief period of democratic governance. Still, in 1948, a communist coup d'etat established a one-party communist regime, with Czechoslovakia firmly within the Soviet bloc during the Cold War. Fast forward to the 1960s, and Czechoslovakia experienced a brief moment of political liberation, known as the Prague Spring, in 1968. However, it was brutally crushed by a Soviet-led invasion. The turning point came in 1989 with the Velvet Revolution, a non-violent uprising against the communist regime led by figures like Václav Havel. It marked the beginning of the end of communist rule in Czechoslovakia. As communism crumbled across Eastern Europe, the question of Czechoslovakia's future came to the forefront. In 1992, political leaders agreed to peacefully split the country into two separate nations. The
I wonder what was the reason that they combined the countries in the first place. He didn't say it, but why would they? If it's two different ethnic groups, that could cause tension. That's a potential for tension inside the country, because if usually combining two ethnic groups together, it's gonna cause a lot of tension. I would just like to know, why were those countries combined in the first place? Because you didn't really need to. They were gonna probably split anyways. But yeah, put it in the comments if y'all know why those countries split.
Republic and Slovakia. Now, on the other side of the world, did you know that Egypt and Syria once joined forces? The
When?
United Arab Republic came into existence in 1958, bringing together two Arab countries, Egypt and Syria. The driving force behind this union was
I didn't know about this.
Egypt's charismatic leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser envisioned the UAR as a pan-Arab state that would lead the Arab world towards unity, independence, and social justice. His charismatic leadership and pan-Arab rhetoric garnered widespread support. However, the union faced significant challenges. While Egypt was the larger and more influential partner, Syria had its own political and social dynamics. Tensions between the two nations began to surface. The United Arab Republic's downfall began in 1961 when a group of Syrian military officers staged a coup, dissolving the union and re-establishing Syria as an independent state. The reasons behind the collapse were complex. This meant that the United Arab Republic only lasted 3 years, which seems rather short for a country's existence. But what if I told you there was a country that only lasted 2 days? Here's
Crimea.
the story of the Republic of Crimea.
I always thought that was just part of Ukraine. So I'll tell you how the story about Crimea. So the thing is that Crimea was a part of Russia, in the USSR. There's a whole different part of why the Russia wants Crimea so badly, and that's why they invaded it in 2014 or 15. There's a whole different reason, because they fought a bunch of people, and there's basically Russian blood inside the soil of Crimea. I'm not going to explain that story. You can go look it up. It's kind of a long story. But Crimea is, who gave, I think in the 90s, the Russian leader at the time gave Crimea to Ukraine, and then and then later on Putin in 2014 is like, no, we're going to take it back. They invaded Crimea and they took it back. I think that was when the Republic started.
Crimea was part of Russia from 1783, but it was transferred to Soviet Ukraine in 1954.
Oh, was that always a country for a long time? Oh, okay, never mind, I'm thinking of something
Fast
else.
forward 60 years, and the Republic of Crimea declared independence on the 16th of March 2014 after a illegitimate referendum.
I didn't know that it happened in 1758 and then it went back into the Soviet Union. I didn't know that.
Crimea would then be an independent country. Only for 2 days later, Russia would then incorporate Crimea on the 18th of March 2014. Maybe one day they'll try to force becoming independent again. Who knows? There's been a lot of countries that were once split into North and South, but are now united, such as North Yemen and South Yemen, South Vietnam and North Vietnam, North Korea and actually maybe not that last one. Catalonia in Spain was an autonomous region of Spain, although they fought and secured independence.
They're still fighting for independence to this day. Yeah, they're still fighting for independence, these people. These guys in Spain, I've heard some stuff.
Between the years 1932 to 1934, and during the Spanish
Were they independent? Oh, they were.
War in 1936 to 1939, Catalonia briefly declared itself an independent state known as the Catalan state. However, this declaration was not internationally recognized, and it was brought under the control of the Spanish Republic. East Pakistan was once an individual country. It existed as part of...
How does Pakistan get that? Where did that come from? Who gave Pakistan that land? Now that's Bangladesh now, by the way. But
the
Yeah.
Pakistan from 1947. East Pakistan and West Pakistan were separated by more than 1,000 miles of Indian territory. On December
Yeah.
16th, 1971, after a brutal war of independence with West Pakistan, East Pakistan formally declared its independence from Pakistan and became the independent country of what is now known as Bangladesh. Over in China, for centuries, Tibet once existed as an independent country with a rich cultural
Yeah.
heritage. Its governance was shaped by Buddhist spiritual leaders, including
By the way, guys, I know y'all see that symbol. That's not that looks like it's a Nazi symbol. That's where Hitler got that symbol from. Was these guys, with the Buddhism guys or whatever in China, in Asia. That's where Hitler got the sign from. And then they used it, and then now it's recognized basically as just the Nazi sign. But that's not where the sign originated from. It didn't originate from Hitler. I bet a lot of people don't know that. I just want to give y'all some context.
the Dalai Lamas, who played a pivotal role in its administration. Tibet's independence faced challenges from neighboring China. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the Qing dynasty sought to exert control over Tibet, leading to periods of influence and conflict. The Tibetan leadership, under pressure, signed the 17-point agreement in 1951, effectively bringing Tibet under Chinese control. In 1950, following the Chinese Civil War and the establishment of the People's Republic of China, Chinese troops entered Tibet. Today, Tibet is an autonomous region within the People's Republic of China, known as the Tibet Autonomous Region. While it has its own government and cultural distinctiveness, its political status within China remains a contentious and sensitive issue. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click here to watch another.
I didn't see California was one of the independent countries before a state. It was a country before a state. It was though. He didn't include it for some reason, but y'all, WVED from that guy, obviously, explained it really well. WVED. He's out, y'all.